So how you
Cool.
doing?
Pretty good, man. Hopefully if we can get this working, we can do this on a regular basis, give some people some fun videos to watch during quarantine.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah, it'd
Yeah.
be it'd be nice
And
to get some input as well, right?
yeah, absolutely. I know you said you've been stuck in quarantine for a good little bit now at this point.
Yeah, we've been yeah, I've been working from home for a couple of weeks and then got put on furlough last week. So I've been on furlough for a week, which is
Oh
just
man.
crazy. Had a phone call from the director of our office, and it's pretty strange. He called up and he said, "Oh, thanks for helping out and taking furlough. Thanks for not working." I was like, "Okay, that's
You're like, that's cool. I
yeah,
can do
that's
that.
that's fine. Yeah, yeah." He said, "You okay? You good with this?" I was like, "Yeah, of course I am. Yeah, sure." I mean, I tried to play it down a bit, but yeah, yeah. How about you?
Well,
How's the situation there?
so we are not on like mandatory lockdown just yet.
Okay.
And since I work in the animal medical field, I'm technically an essential employee.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm still working. Thankfully, I know there's a lot of people around here. We're in a Charleston's kind of a bigger city in this area.
sure.
So there's a lot of people from like the food and bev that are just they're out on unemployment. They don't really have anything that they can do because I mean most of the restaurants and stuff are shut down. Bars are shut down. Like there's it's just really weird times at this point.
Yeah, yeah. It's the same here. Everything's shut down now. Pubs, bars, restaurants, everything like that is closed, and it's kind of worrying, right? It makes you think what's going to happen, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Right, okay. Better start doing some drawing, I guess.
Yeah, man. So our I know we discussed this off camera, but
Yeah.
for the viewers, let them know kind of what's going on.
Uh huh.
Um, so we're doing like a little showdown. We're gonna have our two combatants
That's
come
it. Yeah.
together and throw them together in a single piece once they're done getting drawn. I chose the now famous Joe Exotic, the Tiger King.
Yeah.
I actually just finished that series yesterday, and boy, that was a wild ride.
So here's the thing. I've heard so much about this. I haven't watched it yet.
it's it's bonkers, man. It's so good though. So he runs like a big cat zoo,
Sure.
and he's got like this feud with this lady from like the animal welfare, animal rights thing, who's trying to shut him down. And there's just it's wild to think that these are real people because they're incredibly um like I couldn't even like you can't even make this stuff up.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're just such crazy folks.
Yeah. I've from what I've heard, it's is very entertaining. I do need to watch this actually.
It's very entertaining.
Man, okay. Okay, so going up against him then, I have
Yeah.
picked Kid Goku from Dragon Ball, which is very fictional. Um, and the reason I did that is because I've not really drawn him before. I've always been really inspired by like Toriyama's art and stuff. So I thought, what better way than going for a chibi style little dude, which is
Yeah.
as you know, right up my alley. So I'll give him a go. So those two, who would win?
Right. All right. And so I'm gonna be facing my guy to the left of the screen.
Sure. Okay.
So if you want to face your guy to the
I'll do it
to the
this
right
way.
of the
That's
screen.
absolutely fine. No worries. Okay, let's give this a go.
Yeah.
And I think
Let's
people are going to have to bear with us because this is first time doing this.
see. Right.
We've already had some technical hitches. So yeah, I mean, in regards to drawing and stuff, obviously me and you met, use quotation marks online, through drawing Destiny stuff, like fan art, and Destiny fan art and stuff. But when did you, when did you really start drawing and start taking it seriously?
So I mean, I've been drawing my entire life. I know that's a pretty vague statement, but
Sure, sure.
I mean, even since I was like in grade school, that was what I was doing. I was drawing instead of paying attention in class.
Okay, yeah,
Um, so um, yeah, I mean, I spent so much time drawing, and I thought that it would be like a big career thing and this, that, and the other. But I realized pretty quick out of high school that um, you gotta have something else to fund your hobby like
yeah,
activities until
yeah,
you can kind of get somewhere better. Um, so it takes some time, and I mean, I think my biggest thing was um, keeping up with drawing in addition to working like a regular 9 to 5.
sure.
Um, so I think that's always been my biggest struggle is keeping up with drawing, even when things at work are a little bit more important necessarily.
Yeah, I get it. I get that. Yeah, same thing really. It is difficult, isn't it? Because it's so hard not to just wanna you just wanna do this all the time. Like I find myself at my job just thinking about this, but the fact is, like you say, the money in this kind of situation is not it's not guaranteed and or even sometimes probable. There's so many people doing it.
Right. And it's hard because you look at other people and you're like, man, that person's so much more talented than I am, or
Sure.
whatever like that. Like, so it's really discouraging, but you just got to keep going because you're never going to get better if you don't keep up with it, obviously.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so that's always been my thing is I always judge myself very harshly against other people who are a lot further along than I am, which doesn't help anything.
No. And do you know what? There's a lot of people online as well that post a lot of stuff, and they're clearly very good. But you also kind of when you listen to them or you talk to them, they've all got the same insecurities as well, which is interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
And like when I started posting online, I really did it because I thought why not? I hadn't ever posted any of my art. I'd never really shown my art to anyone. And a couple of years ago, I just decided, oh, let's just put it on there. And then when Star Wars Destiny came along, I think somebody just suggested, why don't you just do some, some art for it? Just do some cards or something. And it was just such a fun idea, and it was such a great game, as you know. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one, right? It's everyone's doing it. It seems when you start drawing online and putting it online, rather, everyone. There's so many people doing it, and it's like you say. There's so many talented people. One of the things I'm not good at is talking and drawing, which is great. Which is great for
I
this
feel you,
show.
man. I feel you. Yeah.
Also, it's funny like drawing. I mean, how many times do you draw in front of people, really?
Right. Yeah, it's definitely not a spectator sport.
Right? Yeah, that's why the time lapse is fine. But
Yeah, I've been really glad that you've been putting out so many time lapses lately.
uh,
Like
yeah, I love doing
that
it.
they're so entertaining, man.
Yeah, hey, thank you. Yeah, I really enjoy doing it. It's quite easy as well. To be honest, I don't know why I've not done it before. It's
It's
just
you really just got to remember to to flip the record thing on first.
oh
Like
right,
that's
yeah.
always my problem is I get halfway into a sketch and I'm like, "Oh wait, I should be recording this."
Well, that's exactly it. That's what I did the other day. I drew something and I thought, hey, that's really good. Oh no, I didn't record it. Why did I not record it? Yeah, that is exactly it. Okay. I feel kind of threatened by your guy. He looks kind of mean.
He's just all talk. He didn't actually murder Carol Baskins.
I
He's such a kooky dude, man. Like I don't know if you can tell from the picture, but like
can tell from his hair
he's
alone, but yeah.
yeah, he's a wild guy, and he's always got his eyeliner on.
Oh,
Like in
really?
his eyeliners, it's always on point, man. It's so good.
Do you know what? I think you're going to inspire me to watch this. It's been on my list, but I think after this, I'm going to need to sit down and watch it.
It's so good, man.
Man, this guy's hair.
Oh, your guy's looking angry, man.
He's serious. He's taking this seriously. Not not serious. So what did you like? Your style is I mean, like I remember when I first saw you doing cards, and it's like very angular, isn't it? Your style. It's sort of very
Yeah, so
yeah. Sorry, go.
I grew up watching a lot of like the Cartoon Network shows,
Sure.
and one of my big things that made me interested in doing the Star Wars stuff was I loved Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars back in what was that '03.
That's a
Um,
fantastic series. Yeah.
yeah, because his work is just very obviously his.
Right.
Like you look at Samurai Jack, you look at Powerpuff Girls, like some
Hmm.
of his other things, and it's like it's very deliberate with the lines. Like there's no questioning like this is him drawing that. This is definitely like his show.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So I took that idea of like making my own style that is very obviously mine.
Hmm.
Um, because like I want people to if they look at mine they can see and be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's Parker's. Like that's
Yeah, for
definitely him
sure.
drawing that one.
Yeah, I think that's important. Right? That's very important for any artist really to have that kind of uniqueness. Well, it worries me that you're inking already. You're way ahead of me.
No, no, man, I'm still sketching. My inking comes with the pen tool.
Oh,
That's
okay,
one of the
okay.
things yeah, that's I admire yours because you just straight up take the brush tool and start inking, and I can't do that.
Yeah, but hey, you.
My hands are not steady enough for that.
Yeah, but you see me penciling. I pencil for so long before I start inking. Like if we weren't recording this, I'd probably be doing this for a couple of hours.
Right.
So how long do you normally take? I mean, obviously, are you still doing Destiny cards and stuff?
So I took a break. So they did the final set, the covert missions, um, and I did most of the characters that I wanted to do out of that set before it dropped because there were so many delays. And yeah, so I didn't really have very many more that I wanted to specifically get done. So I kind of left that at that. I've had some like personal stuff that I've been trying to work through and hasn't been top priority.
Sure, sure,
Um,
sure.
I got a little drowned with client work at the same time as well.
Hmm.
So I've been trying to just dig myself out of that hole, which isn't a bad thing. Like having too much client work is not ever a bad thing to complain about.
Sure.
So I've been able to kind of take some steps back, and I've got a few things that I'm cooking up for Destiny, just in the background. I'm thinking about doing some tournament kits,
Nice,
um,
nice.
since there's not going to be any like legitimate support anymore from FFG.
Sure, sure.
So having some tournament kits that people can go to and do for their locals, sort of thing, which I think will be good for the community. I don't know what the whole what is it supposed to be like, the continuation committee or whatever the heck they're
Oh yeah,
they're
whatever's
they're
going on.
doing over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't really know what's the deal with that, but I'm just kind of doing my own thing still.
That's cool. Yeah, me and my friend were talking about this because we played Destiny for a while, Loved it. You know, it was such a good game. But we also we dropped out. Like we went to a couple of tournaments and then just kind of dropped out of it. I think the tournament scene, in many ways, weirdly, kind of killed my enthusiasm a bit because I just wanted to play what I wanted to play. But when you're playing in a tournament,
Right.
you need to think about the meta and what's going to happen with all that. Um, yeah, so it's that's why really I
It
just
does it does detract a little bit from it.
sure, but it's I mean it's kind of it's good as well, right? It's a good part of it. It's if you love that stuff, that's kind of what you play. But for me, it wasn't so much. But then that's when I stopped drawing stuff because I just wasn't playing it. And when I was playing
Right.
it, I was
You weren't
so
up
into it.
with the yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Once you lose contact with it, you're kind of like, oh, I don't really know where to go with this. Like, what do I draw now?
Right. You're like, what characters are good? What who
Yeah,
should I
exactly.
draw?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just want to draw Yoda, but nobody's using Yoda anymore. That kind of thing.
Right. I've kind of had that revelation when I was drawing Wat Tambor from the Separatist Alliance, and I'm like, he's such a big card right now,
Yeah.
but like, I don't want to be drawing Wat Tambor. Nobody cares about him. Like,
I don't even know who that is, Parker. To be honest.
right. See, it got to be such obscure characters and stuff that were popular that it just I don't know.
Right. I
I,
get you.
I get that idea like in the game, like it's important to have lots of support characters and whatever else,
Sure,
but
of course. But yeah, when it's yeah, exactly. When you want to draw it and stuff, you kind of need to be keeping up, but you also just want to draw stuff for fun, right?
right.
No, this is a hard cloud to draw. Um, yeah, it's interesting. I guess. I mean, do you have any plans? Like, have you looked at any other games and thought you'd draw for them or anything?
Um, I had given some thought to um, what is it, the UFS Ultimate Fighting System games,
Okay,
because those are also ones that you, at least from my understanding, you start with a character like that's not in the deck, so it's not going to be a problem if it's not a real card or whatever else. Like
sure.
that was one of the big things with Destiny is you don't start with these cards in your deck.
Yeah,
So like
yeah,
nobody's going to accuse you of cheating. Like you have to have the dice from the official product to even use the alternate arts. So that was one of the big things with Destiny that drew me to make artwork for that one.
hmm
But I think UFS does a similar sort of thing. And they have, I mean, they have all sorts of different licenses and char- character eh, characters and stuff that you can choose from. At the
sure.
time, I think they were releasing the Soul Calibur expansions, which
Okay,
I've always liked Soul Calibur. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's a fun video game. And
So how long do you spend drawing normally when you're drawing a character for a card or whatever?
um, I guess it kind of depends on the on how complex the characters are, but I don't know. I'd probably say 2 3 hours from start to finish.
Yeah.
Uh, I think one of the longest ones that I've worked on was the Sabine Wren from the Rebels TV show.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Just because she's got so many different colors and she's got the armor and everything. She was
yeah,
a
yeah.
pretty
Absolutely.
complex character. Yeah.
First character I ever drew, actually.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I got Disney Plus the other day or the other week. So because we've only just got it in the UK. Um,
Oh wow. Yeah.
so
That's sad.
we're still getting the Mandalorian. We're only on episode 4 so far.
Oh nice.
Yeah, which people have
How
been
are you
mad
enjoying
about.
it?
Yeah, I love it. I genuinely love it. It's I keep
It's
because
such a good show.
yeah, well, I've got a lot of friends who haven't watched it yet, and I keep saying to them, it's basically everything I wanted from a Star Wars show.
Absolutely.
Like I've always wanted, like the bounty hunters and stuff. I remember when I was younger, thinking, God, I'd love to see a film about the bounty hunters. And now they've not only done what I wanted, but they've made it into a series as well. So it's yeah, it's spectacular. But yeah, I started watching Clone Wars because I've never seen any of the like Rebels. I've watched a bit of, and I just thought, hey, I'll give it a go. I'll give Clone Wars a go.
Yeah, Clone Wars is really good. Where'd you start?
So I started literally at the beginning. Um,
Good.
this is the other one, not the Tartakovsky one.
Right.
So
Um,
I've literally started episode one, um, and it's good. I like it so far.
yeah, so there's a lot of really good character development for people that you see in the movies that you don't really like. You get a lot of off-screen stuff,
Sure.
which is really cool. Um, how
Yeah.
far have you gotten into it?
I've literally watched 2 episodes so far, so
Okay, gotcha.
I'm early in. I'm early in, but I, I'll be honest. I'm not a massive fan of the prequels. I have this mixed view of the prequels. I like what they have in them, like their ships and the characters and stuff. I think there's so much potential there. And I
Absolutely. So you are definitely gonna like the Clone Wars then.
exactly because they've already got Grievous and Count Dooku and stuff, and these are characters that in the films I'm kind of like okay, that's fine, but in the series they're all of a
Yeah,
sudden they're really cool, right? I mean even like Dooku's just really interesting all of a sudden.
yeah. So Dooku is actually one of my favorite characters because of the Clone Wars
Oh
series.
really? That's awesome. Okay.
Um, like he's such a like he's so much smarter and like manipulative than the movies let on.
Sure.
Like in the movies, he's just like, "Oh, hey, I'm gonna fight you," and then in the next movie, he's dead. Like,
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
so it definitely builds on his character and like his abilities and stuff.
Yeah, completely. Oh God. Yeah, it's interesting, definitely. It's I don't know, it's just it seems like it does everything kind of the things I don't like about the films. It kind of it just expands on the good stuff, right? The interesting bits. Because there's a lot of history. I mean, there's so much stuff going on in those films. But
Yeah, and it's really hard because you can only cover so much in a 3 hour film.
exactly, yeah. So it's cool to see, just all these characters and all these ships as well, and all this stuff that's supposed to be happening between the films. It kind of makes you feel like, okay, you know, this is the stuff I wanted to know, the stuff they were
Right.
talking about.
And now I think with season seven, so I haven't watched any of the new season.
Okay,
I'm waiting for it all to come out and just watch it all at
sure,
once.
sure.
Um, but so from the previews, it looks like you're gonna see um, like overlap with Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, really?
Um,
Interesting.
so I think we're gonna see an animated version of Order 66, like from Ahsoka's point of view,
Amazing. Okay, that's cool.
which will be ridiculously awesome.
Yeah, I've heard Ahsoka's like a big part of this, right? She's like one of the
Yeah,
main things.
she's a really neat character.
Yeah.
At first she's kind of annoying, like, but I mean it's character development sort of thing.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, I kind of like it. It's nice seeing it from a different point of view as well. Like I mean, I from what I've seen, Anakin's obviously a big character in it, but it's almost like he's secondary to Ahsoka. It's almost like she's the focus of this, and that's kind of nice to see. I don't know how true that is throughout, but
No, that's pretty fair. I mean, because she's a pretty major character in this, and then also in Rebels. Um, so it makes Rebels even better to watch after the Clone Wars because you have an established relationship with Ahsoka.
that's cool. Yeah, that's what I kind of thought I'd better watch Clone Wars first because of that, because of like the
Definitely.
links and stuff.
Oh, hands. Hands are the worst.
Oh man, yeah, you notice how I cheat with hands. I always just draw big fat sausage fingers.
Right. But it looks good. It works with your style.
I'm starting to wonder if I developed this style just so I didn't have to draw proper hands because
Hey, I
hands
don't blame you, man.
are a nightmare, right?
They're such a pain in the ass.
So did you ever? I'm assuming because I mean the way you draw, you must have done. Like me, did you ever practice drawing from real life and just hate it?
Oh, absolutely. So, um, in middle school, I actually went to a, oh no, what happened? I went to a private middle school for like just different arts and stuff. And
Okay.
obviously, I was doing visual arts.
Yeah.
Um, and it was so much of like classical and like still life painting and stuff like that, which I think definitely gave me a solid foundation
Hmm.
of like this is how you're supposed to draw or this is how you're supposed to create stuff, and that's fair. But it definitely did not leave me wanting more of that. It
Yeah,
made me want to
absolutely.
kind of branch out and figure out my own stuff.
Yeah, yeah. When you're learning to draw, I mean, oh God, I'm still learning to draw, but when you first start learning and you're told, okay, you must learn, you've got to learn perspective, you've got to learn how to draw a human body and stuff, and it's just, to me, it was just like homework. It took all the fun away from drawing. But
Oh,
there's
absolutely.
so much I still need to learn, so much, but it's kind of
I
nice.
I
Sorry,
think that
go ahead.
having become established like in the art community, or at least the little smaller community that I've found,
Mm,
um, I feel like I need to go back to some of the basics. Like I struggle with hands. I struggle with like proportions and human bodies and stuff. Like
yeah, yeah.
it's all difficult stuff.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's also, you find when you're learning and stuff, you kind of just want to get to this stage where you're just having fun with it. But even when you
Right.
can, like when I got to the point where I could draw what was in my head, that was great. Like I really felt good about that. Like now I can kind of envision it, and it's I can get it onto paper to a degree. But so many times now, I still have problems like with stuff. I can't. I'm terrible at backgrounds. You rarely ever see me draw backgrounds, and that's something I'm working on at the moment. But it's stuff like that. It's those things. If you learn them early on, then you're already way ahead of a lot of people.
Absolutely. Yeah, backgrounds are a if you notice, I mostly just stick with the character design.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I've had a couple of book projects that have forced me to kind of learn more about the background
Hmm.
aspect of things. Um, it didn't really make it any easier to move forward with those projects because like I was already kind of behind the eight ball with that.
Sure.
Um, so it definitely would have been advantageous to have paid attention to some of that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I know. Believe me. Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm quite into. Do you know Jake Parker? So he did. He's got a YouTube channel and he did like the Rocket Raccoon comics and stuff. He draws a lot of
gotcha, gotcha.
mechs and stuff. He's got a very cool sort of cartoony style, but he's one of those people that I just look at and I'm like, wow, just he can just draw anything, right? He just draws, everything looks so amazing. But his backgrounds, he talks about that and stuff. But his backgrounds are so good, and I just wish it's something I'd studied more early on. Because now I find myself a bit limited by it. Like there's a lot of things I've just learned to draw just as I go. Clothing, for example, I've never been that good at that, but as I've gone on, I've just learned to draw creases in clothes and stuff, and learned to draw how it folds and that kind of thing. Um,
Hmm.
and a lot of it's just from watching YouTube and stuff like that. But things
Oh, absolutely.
like backgrounds are
Like
so difficult.
I had actually gone to my local technical college. I had started for graphic design, like most art kids from
Mm,
from high school.
sure, sure.
Um, and I realized I'd already learned all of this stuff because I was just watching YouTube all day,
Yeah,
every day. And it got to the point where I was like, I don't even know why I'm here at school. Like spending my money to learn stuff that I could get for free off the internet.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Um, and like I know that that's not the path for everybody, but for me, it definitely it it reminded me that like I can kind of figure this out on my own, sort of thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's I don't know. It's so much stuff now is available online for free, right? It's good.
Yeah. Well, and there's even some like there's even paid services that are better than well, not necessarily better, but more focused, I guess, if you're trying to learn a specific thing. Like you can go on Skillshare and find what you're trying to learn and watch 3 videos and have it done instead of going for a however long degree and
Yeah, you're
realizing
right.
that you
Actually,
only learned such a small amount of stuff about what you actually wanted to do.
well, that's it as well. I think that's what people are saying about this whole um, isolation thing as well. Is that when we come out of this, we're going to be very different. I think we people are going to look at work differently. A lot of people would have worked from home for the first time, and some people are going to hate that. But I think a lot of companies as well, they're going to start thinking, well, maybe it's a cheaper option. And I think stuff like
Right.
YouTube. I mean, I bet there's loads of people right now. I mean, like we're doing now. I've never done anything like this before, but I bet there's a lot of people discovering like social media like this for the first time as well. And I
Oh,
wonder if
sure.
that's gonna evolve as well into more people doing lessons when realizing they can do lessons from home and stuff. Um, yeah, I wonder about that, but I think you're right. I think especially with art and stuff, doing that from the perspective of your own home rather than going to school is a big deal.
Right. And so many art people are already the socially awkward or antisocial or whatever.
Oh yeah,
like
wow, that's it. That's it.
like that gives them the ability to kind of learn at their own pace and in their own environment, sort of thing. And um, so that's something that I've actually given some thought to is looking into doing like YouTube classes and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah, yeah, it's a good idea. Um,
And like I stopped myself because I'm like, I don't know if I have the skill for this or whatever. Um, hey,
I
sorry, I've got a phone call coming through. Give me 1 second.
okay. Yeah, so anyone watching, um, you can see that when I draw, I often draw and flip it the wrong way around, because it often looks terrible mirrored, which is pretty normal for me, not for anyone else, I'm sure. But that's why I've done this. So if anyone is out there watching this and they like what we're doing, um, yeah, we would be, it's something me and Parker talked about doing as well. Um, doing more of, I mean. So if anyone, thinks this is good and enjoys it, then thank you. And also, yeah, please feel free to comment and, say what we can do better, which I'm sure there's a lot of, but also what we could do in the future. Don't forget, I mean, this is only for fun. We're not directly competing, but it'd be good to vote on who you reckon would win between these two characters. That is, not me and Parker, because we're not. I don't think we're comfortable enough to be directly competing art-wise. But yeah, Kid Goku versus the Tiger King. It's an interesting matchup for sure. I mean, I think I know who my money's on, but you guys decide. I'm sure we'll talk about it soon, but one of the absolute beauties for me of digital art is it's so forgiving. Because I'm sure you've noticed, but I make a lot of mistakes. You can just erase and start again for free. It's not a problem.
All right, I'm back.
Hey.
I hope you've been entertaining everybody with
I
some funny antics.
I've been talking to myself a lot actually,
Oh, good.
which is quite unusual. There's been some
Right.
long pauses, but then I thought, oh, I better, just in case
All right,
anyone
where
does
where are
actually
you at
watch
so
this,
far?
anyone
What you
besides
got?
me or you comes back and watches this, I thought,
What you got so far? Let me see.
there you go.
Oh, geez, you're smoking me, man. Slow down.
So yeah, I don't. Well, I'll do some color. That believe me, I'm slow with color. I'm feeling
Okay.
the pressure because I'm not. I normally would draw a lot slower, but because we're doing this and recording it, I'm feeling the pressure, you know. But I was just talking about to myself about digital art and how forgiving it is.
So so this is the main reason that I do digital art is that it is so forgiving.
Yes.
Um, like you mess something up, oh, Control Z.
Well,
Okay,
that's
start
literally,
over.
yeah. That's exactly what I was saying before you came back. Is yeah. I was saying, there's so many mistakes I make. If I was doing this in pen, I don't know. It would be a
Oh
mess.
yeah,
It would be an
right.
absolute mess, right?
And so like that's one of the things that I admire about your stuff is like you do all of your ink by hand. Like the reason I use the pen tool is because I got so tired of draw a line, erase it, draw a line, erase it, draw a line, erase it. Like I just got so tired of that. I was like, I'm just gonna go to the pen tool. I'll make it look exactly how I want it to. Um,
But
but like
that's
there is definitely something lost in translation between brush strokes and pen tools.
sure, but
But I think that my style kind of lends itself to the pen
well, that's
tool.
what I was going to say. I think because of the way you design as well, like your character designs, because they're like my style's very, as I'm sure people have noticed, but when I draw, it's a lot of rounded shapes. I don't
Sure.
really do hard angles, and that's why I really like yours because it is so angular, and that kind of really appeals to me. It's a very different design, and the way you do it, yeah, it just fits. I think it works for you because I don't think because you're doing a lot of sort of not straight lines, but a lot of kind of slightly curved lines, but there's a certain sense of angular. What am I trying to say?
Right. And I like the very like deliberate, like this is exactly where this line is supposed to be.
Yeah, sure,
Like
sure.
it's supposed to be very sharp. And I think that's just one of my things that I like, and that's just what people learn over time is you like what you like, and
That's it. Yep.
that is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly that. I was saying as well when I don't know if you have this problem, but when I draw, I have this the way I draw, I have to start mirroring my image because it doesn't look right when it's mirrored.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
And somebody I really thought this was just me, but I've read that this is a thing that people do because the way you draw, you're looking at it from a certain way and it looks fine, but when you mirror it, it just looks so different. Like the shapes are off and stuff, which is why
Right.
I had to redesign his head. But I think he looks okay now. But yeah, it's that's something I've gotten used to doing recently because I've realised a lot of my stuff. It's like, oh, I'm really happy with that. If somebody was to look at it in a mirror, okay, not so
I
good.
just I just don't have mirrors.
Yeah, yeah, just don't use mirrors. Yeah, that's it.
Right.
Um, one of my friends actually. The reason I think about this a lot lately is because one of my friends got a tattoo of. I drew a couple of years ago. I drew a picture of Mikey from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for
Oh
her,
yeah.
and she loves him. So I drew a picture, and she had it on her phone for a long time, and then she went and got it as a tattoo, and I didn't know until she had it, and the tattooist had mirrored it for her, so that when she looks in the mirror, she sees it how she's expecting it.
Right.
And I was like, oh my god, like I hope the image is good mirrored. But luckily it was pretty simple design. But now I'm really wary of it because I'm thinking if anyone ever wants like prints or something and I need to print them the other way, god, that would be a
Right.
nightmare. But yeah, but digital art. Just going back to that, I didn't start drawing. I mean, this I've had this tablet 6 years, I think, 5 6 years now, and I before then I'd never drawn digitally at all, and I didn't want to either.
Yeah.
I was really against the idea, to be honest, until I tried it.
Why's that?
I always thought because I was the artist I always admired, like comics and so on, have always been traditional. Um,
Mm.
Growing up, I used to read like Asterix and Tintin and Calvin and Hobbes and stuff like that,
Hmm.
and that was always drawn traditionally with ink pens and so on. And so I always, for me, that was always the way to go.
Yeah, and I think that technology has come such a way that like you can get such a traditional vibe from
Yes,
doing digital. It's wild. Like you can put two things back to back and can't tell which one's digital and which one's traditional because they're just so true to the sense of what it should look like.
that's it.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
it's so strange.
And I always, yeah, I always had this feeling like, oh, it's not real, is it? If you're drawing digitally, you're kind of cutting corners and stuff. But then I realized, you know what? Like, who cares? If you're drawing something and you love it and you're doing the work, you're drawing. It doesn't matter how you do it. You still have to do the work.
Right, yeah. You're still doing what it takes to make the artwork.
That's it. Yeah. So what do you normally do when you're drawing? Do you listen to stuff or do you watch TV or?
I can't watch TV while I do it just because it distracts me too much.
Yeah, I get it.
Um, I'll listen to music or I'll just sit in silence to be honest because
Yeah.
just it's good focused time just doing something um, that I have control over.
Mm.
That's one of the things I've talked with my therapist a lot lately about is doing things that you have mastery over,
Yes. Yeah.
um, whether that's cooking or cleaning or whatever. Like just doing something that reminds yourself, hey, I have control over something. I know how to do this. Like not everything sucks. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Sure.
So like that's kind of what artwork is for me. It gives me a sense that I'm accomplishing something. I know what I'm doing, and can kind of go from there.
That's good.
It's
Yeah.
definitely a good reminder that I have some sort of skill that I'm proud of. Like I definitely love my job and
Hmm.
I love doing the work that I do. But there's just something about doing something creative
Oh
that's
yeah. Yeah.
just rewarding.
So what is it you do with? I mean, I know you work for an animal hospital, right?
Yeah, so I'm a veterinary technician, which is essentially just a dog nurse.
Okay. Well, hey, a dog nurse
um,
sounds great. That's a great
yeah,
title.
so it's definitely something that I'm passionate about. Like I love helping animals. I love um, like being there for people because I used to work in the shelter field,
Okay.
which is it's rewarding in and of itself, but it's a very um, um, how would I put that? It's very much so just like you're working with the animals, and
Okay.
that's
Okay.
that's why a lot of people do that. Is because they don't necessarily like people,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
over time I found out that I'm pretty extroverted and I like people. I like communicating with clients and stuff like that. So moving into private practice and actually getting to work with clients and like seeing them on a regular basis, like if they have a pet that deals with a chronic illness, like helping them kind of figure out what they're supposed to do with that.
Yeah.
Um, it's just it's nice to build relationships like that.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. That must be amazing. But yeah, what you were saying about drawing sort of keeps you kind of grounded, I guess.
Yeah, it gives me something that I'm not necessarily um it's not life or death, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like if I mess something up, it's on me. Like it's just a drawing. sort of
Sure.
thing.
That's it. I mean, it's funny because it's the same with me. I it's always been a hobby, but I obviously want to turn it into more, which is why I started putting stuff online in the first place. But at
Yeah,
the same time,
absolutely.
it's still something I love doing. I think commissions can be tough, and I don't mean that as a complaint because it's great when you get commissions, but I think that's when you start making that sort of. That's when it starts feeling like work, and that's not a bad thing.
Oh, absolutely.
But
So
it can be
that's
tough, right?
I've been very choosy about the kind of commission work that I take because originally when um I had done like stay-at-home dad stuff for a while and I was
Yes,
like I
yeah,
need something to keep me busy. And so I was taking client work and just kind of taking whatever people threw me and it's miserable, man.
yeah, okay, yeah,
Like you have to be very cautious about the clients that you take, about the work that you'll agree to do, and you have to be very cautious when you're putting together agreements
hmm
because a lot of the times you will find people who are like, "Oh, well, I thought that I liked this, but I actually don't like this. I want you to do this instead." And it turns into a project that costs you money essentially.
yeah, yeah,
Thankfully, I've been able to have those few and far between, but it's always frustrating when you run into something like that.
yeah. I think that the most surprising thing I've seen, and this isn't me blaming anyone because if I didn't draw, I would completely understand this, but it's that you draw something and it's kind of like, oh, you think, okay, I'm finished now, and then they come back and they say, oh, would you mind just changing this bit? But it's not like a small thing, right? Like, oh, I like it, but would you mind changing this character for this character?
Right. It seems like a small thing to them,
Yeah,
but in the reality of things, like you've already like cleaned everything, you've already got everything looking
yeah, you've done
how
all
it
the
should, and then
shading and everything, and
you're
yeah,
like, oh, okay, sure, I can do that, I
and
guess.
you want to be accommodating because obviously it's work and you want to be professional, but yeah,
Right.
that's tough. That's tough. But generally, from what I've seen, like people are really. It's always nice. I think it's nice when you get people and they love what you're doing and they really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday I had a couple appointments that I had to go to on my day off,
hmm
but between them I just sat in front of my computer and I was like, I'm gonna sit and draw for a little bit. And I put together a design that I'd been wanting to do for weeks now. It's that Babu Frick
Oh, the
mechanics
t-shirt,
services that
right?
I posted yesterday. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
Yeah, I
like
saw that. Yeah.
I'd been wanting to do that for so long, but I just kept putting it off. And yesterday I was just like, I have some time. I'm gonna do it, and just sat for a couple hours and just busted it out. And that's,
Well, that
I
was well
mean,
worth it. That was a very cool design.
thanks. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out.
Also, Babu Frick is the best thing about the last film for
Oh my
sure.
gosh, he's so funny. He's so good.
Yeah, Babu Frick. I think we haven't really talked about Star Wars too much. I know we talked about it earlier, but I saw you put a thing on Facebook actually about your favorite characters from all the different areas of Star Wars.
Right. Yeah, somebody asked me the other day and they're like, "Who's your favorite Star Wars character?" Like it was some easy question.
That's it. Yeah,
I was like, "But there's so many characters. I love them all."
it's true. It is true. I thought about that before as well. In fact, I was gonna, it was going to be one of the things I asked you, but then I saw that post and I was like, oh, okay, okay. Um, but yeah, for me, I just going into that bit, like I always feel I'm instantly into the little characters, like the side characters. Um,
Oh, sure.
and I noticed you put like Salacious Crumb and Babu Frick and stuff, and
Yeah.
absolutely spot on. Like this, like Salacious Crumb from when I was a kid was like one of my favorite.
He's so funny.
Yeah,
I love him. Like when he's sitting there on C-3PO eating his eyeball, it's
yeah,
like, "Oh my God.
exactly. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so good."
yeah. He's great. I love all those little characters. Like in Rogue One, I always say my favorite character is that little alien guy. He's like you just see him for a few seconds. He's got a massive gun, and it's when they're attacking the
Oh,
stormtroopers.
yeah. The guy in the U wing.
Mm.
Yeah, he's so funny.
Yeah, I just love those. Like,
There's so much there's so much that like in Star Wars, if you blink, you miss it.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but it makes the universe so much richer.
Oh, I
Like
agree. Yeah,
there's so many things that you don't get explanations for. Like I think that's one of the things that frustrates me about some Star Wars fans is they want explanations for everything.
yeah. I
And like it's a big universe. Like you don't get to ask those questions to other movies. Like
yep, yep.
it is what it is. Suspend your disbelief and allow there to be some crazy universe out there. Um,
I think that's it. I think that is the thing that Star Wars does that no other. I mean, I guess Star Trek does to a degree as well, but with Star Wars, it's kind of they walk into a bar or a cantina or whatever, and there's aliens there that are just they're never explained, like you say, and they're just sitting there, and they'll focus on them for like a few seconds, and that's it. It's done. But it makes it feel so
right.
real, right? It's like all these
Right. Well, and
designs that people have
even
done.
in the original one, when Han Solo's telling him about like, yeah, the Millennium Falcon made the Kessel Run
Oh yeah,
and such
yeah,
parsecs and stuff,
yeah,
and you're like, what the hell is a Kessel Run?
yeah.
Like, I
Yeah,
want to know about that. But it expands the universe with just such small little quips like that. Like, I think in A New Hope, C-3PO says something about getting shipped off to the spice mines of Kessel. Like, what
yep,
is Kessel? What is a spice mine? Like, what is going on here? But it adds so much like depth to it with just such small things. I think that's definitely something that George Lucas was very very good at.
yeah.
Was just
He's
inserting those little things.
yeah. I agree. I think like the way he built that world is insane. It's not I don't think it's ever been done in any other. I think that's maybe one of the things that makes Star Wars or made Star Wars stand out to begin with is that it felt like a world that was already. It felt real in many ways, and I don't
Right.
think a lot of sci-fi felt like that, especially back in the 70s.
Sure. Yeah, he's definitely a master storyteller.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I've mentioned the prequels and not being a big fan, but I've always maintained that George Lucas is like he's the kind of guy you'd want in the room when you're coming up with a story
Oh, sure.
because he's the ideas that guy has are so unique. What would you say your favorite Star Wars film is if you had to pick one?
Um, I don't know, man. I always get backlash on my top Star Wars movies.
Okay,
Um, so I definitely think that I definitely think that Rogue One is my favorite out of all of them.
sure.
Just because it encompasses everything that Star Wars is about. Like it's got a pseudo force user. It's got rebels. It's got the Empire. It's got like it's even got Darth Vader there at the end.
Hmm.
Like it's got so much depth to it, and it expands on that universe of like everybody can be important in some way. Like it's a bunch of ragtag team of people who just don't make sense together, but they accomplish this great goal. Um, and it's a beautiful movie. Like the special effects in it are phenomenal.
Yep.
So I definitely think that Rogue One is my number one favorite. Um, think Return of the Jedi is probably a close second. Um, and then I think third would probably be Phantom Menace. Like I
Really,
know that
Phantom
people
Menace.
crap, yeah, people crap on Phantom Menace, but like I do have a certain level of nostalgia for that one because that was like the first one that I saw in theaters and like the pod racing and Darth Maul. Like it's got so many cool things to it.
The pod racing, I'll
Um,
admit, is fantastic, and Darth Maul as well.
it's
Yeah.
it's so good. But there's a lot of stuff in it that like it's goofy and like you've got Jar Jar Binks, but like Star Wars has a significant amount of goofy stuff to it. Like there's always been comic relief in Star Wars, and I think
Hmm.
some people try to forget that. Um,
Yeah, you're not wrong. I also one of the things because I started going off Star Wars in a big way until I started watching The Mandalorian really. Because I felt like the last trilogy, I really liked Force Awakens. The Last Jedi was kind of hit and miss for me. And the latest one was, yeah, it had a lot of good stuff in it. I didn't mind it. I thought it was fun. But I recently rewatched Solo as well, and realised how much I
mm,
liked that. I really enjoyed that watching it again. Just when I sort of realised that, and I was saying this to my friends, is Star Wars really, when you look at a lot of the stuff that's being released, the original trilogy great, and then a lot of the other stuff is great as well. But there's a lot of bad stuff in there. I think it's not all been great. I don't think there's a lot of it's been hit and miss in many ways. But that's okay because that's what Star Wars is, so rich and so big that there's something for everyone.
oh, sure.
That's my personal opinion of it. I don't say that's right, but that's just how I feel about it. But I don't know. Yeah, I can see why. I can see why you. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the prequels, but I get it. There's some good stuff for everyone in every one of the films. I think.
I think that's the thing is like there's generational stuff. Like not every Star Wars movie is made for everybody.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
I think that that's the thing is people expect everything to be for them
Hmm.
just because that's the culture that we live in. Um,
Oh.
but
Oh yeah, for sure.
like you have to accept that like this is a movie for the next generation. Like so many people are upset about the sequel trilogy, but like it's it's not for you. It's for your kids. Like
It's also a
it's
great introduction to Star Wars. I
oh,
think.
absolutely. And I know that a lot of people were very upset about how they treated like Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and stuff, but I think that it was a legitimate continuation of the saga. Like, yes, it
Hmm.
wasn't what Legends gave you, but it's a different story and you have to accept that. Like, you still have your Legends books and like you can read them and that's if that's your Luke Skywalker, that's your Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
But like, I don't know. I enjoyed The Last Jedi. Like I liked PTSD, angry old Luke.
Hmm.
Like I thought that that was understandable. Like he's seen a bunch of stuff, he's made a bunch of mistakes, and he feels really guilty about it. Um, like from a personal level, I really connect with with old man Luke.
Sure. Sure.
But then he comes back and he he turns out to be the Luke Skywalker that you remember. Like he faces down the full First Order and he does his Luke Skywalker stuff.
Yep.
So I think that it's a character arc that people didn't want to see because they wanted Luke Skywalker to be a complete character, like they wanted him to already be done. Um, but like it's like anything else with life. You're gonna have seasons that you win, you're gonna have seasons that you lose, and Luke Skywalker had to learn more. Like um, he's not above character development.
Yeah. 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 That is a good point. I think a lot of people do look at those films. They just want them to carry on with the same characters, being the same.
Right, and I think that in one sense, like that would be interesting, and there would be a lot of fan service or whatever. But at the end of the day, like, do you really just want a movie about like old Luke Skywalker, old Han Solo, like old Princess Leia, and them just all going on an adventure together like it was the old days like that?
People
I
would
don't. I
hate
don't
that.
think
I
that.
think.
Yeah, I don't think that that would be interesting for anybody.
No. No. You're right. I agree. I agree completely. Yeah. It's an interesting one. I mean, it just goes to show how much people love it that they care so much about these. You know.
Fictional characters,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I almost
Yeah,
wasn't brave
people
enough
get
to
so
say it
upfront
there, but
about.
yeah. Yeah.
No,
Made up
yeah,
people. It's crazy. But I mean, that's great. I guess that's why people love it so much as well, because they can be passionate about it.
absolutely. I don't know. And I think that they set up the new characters in a way that they're interesting and compelling. Like I know a lot of people are like not big on like Ray and Kylo or anything, but like I think Ray is an interesting character, and like the fact that she struggles so much with that anger and like hating Palpatine and this, that, and the other, like it's a very compelling character. Like, and I think that people forget that back in A New Hope, like Luke was swing.
Hmm.
Like he was not this like cool uh sci-fi hero guy. Like he was an annoying little farm boy.
Yep, yep.
And like there's nothing wrong with that. You have to start somewhere to have that character development. Um, but I think people just expect so much from certain things that it just I don't know. It's disappointing that people are disappointed by the movies, but at the same time, I enjoy them. I'm sorry you don't. Like
That's it. Yeah.
that's kind of my thing. It's like,
Well, yes. Nobody hates things as much as the fans of that thing. I think that's
oh,
what it seems
absolutely.
like. I mean, the fan base of anything is always the most like outspoken on it because they actually care, but also it can come out. Sometimes it's just obnoxious hate, right? I
Right.
mean,
It gets to a certain level of it's toxic.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
why do you even? What do you? It gets to a point of what do you like about it? You know.
right.
But yeah, yeah, it's good. I mean, The Mandalorian is any complaints of it. I mean, The Mandalorian, to be honest, has just brought me back around to Star Wars in a major way. I just like before I wasn't that interested in Clone Wars and stuff, but now I just want to anything Star Wars. I just want to consume it right now.
Sure. And you get a lot of really good history of Mandalore in the
Hmm.
Clone Wars. Um, like there's a lot of really good arcs in that show that build on Mandalorian culture.
That's
God, that was a
awesome.
nerdy sentence.
Oh hey, that's what we're here for. Yeah, I finding out like obviously I've only seen 4 episodes, but like the bit, just little bits with without giving spoilers, but little bits with hints of the Mandalorians and their sort of almost religion or whatever. It's really interesting because I didn't think that it was going to tackle that at all. I honestly thought it was more just going to kind of be unexplained, but not at all.
No, and once once you get to the season finale of The Mandalorian,
Yeah.
you're definitely going to be like, I need to watch some more Clone Wars. Like
Awesome. Okay.
I'm not gonna tell you why, but like the very last scene, you're like, I'm gonna need to watch some more Clone Wars now.
Yeah, I think Disney Plus is going to be good to me in that respect. There's so much on there to watch. I was disappointed they don't
Absolutely.
have the Tartakovsky one. I went looking for
Yeah.
that immediately, but no luck.
Well, that one's actually on YouTube. They've got the full
Yes,
thing on YouTube.
I found it
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, I've got that to watch because yeah, one of my friends had never seen it, so I was looking for it for him and I found it. Do you ever, when you're recording videos, like when you do the time lapse videos, I find myself sometimes like if I'm watching TV, which is a really bad habit, but I'll stop and I'll be watching something for a couple of minutes, and then I suddenly realise I've just got this blank bit in the middle of the video where the image freezes and I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, I noticed that a few times in some of your videos. I was like, oh, he must have stopped to take a text message or
Yeah,
something. Because
yeah, that's usually what.
that's
Yeah,
always my problem is I'll get a text message and I'll be like, oh, I should probably respond to
that's
this.
exactly it. I'm
And then I
reading my
look back at my
phone or
screen and I'm
yeah.
like, oh, whoops.
That is exactly what has happened there. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny, but I've this is why I've started editing more. I've started trying to use music and stuff just so people don't think, oh, it's the video's frozen. They'll just quit out now.
Right. Yeah. And so that's why I'm like I can't watch TV because I'm so distractible. Like I'll just sit there and watch the TV while I'm drawing, and then I'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
I was doing something.
Oh, I've definitely done that
Um,
plenty of times. Yeah. I was saying when you went away for a minute, I was saying if anyone watches this, like to come up with ideas or come up with questions or whatever things we could do in the future. Thought that would be
oh
a cool
yeah,
way of doing it.
absolutely.
Yeah, I just thought that would be a cool thing to do, right?
Yeah, definitely give the people something that they are like specifically requesting to watch. Like
Yeah, I mean
that's
this.
cool with me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This idea was just a simple. I just thought it'd be just a good way of drawing some characters we wouldn't normally tackle, I guess.
I'm so bad at skin tones.
Skin's hard, I think. I had this thing for a while. I started shading, trying to do blended and stuff, and I quite like it, but I don't I don't know if it really fit my style so much. So I just started doing
Right.
pretty harsh, like cartoony shading. But I found with skin, it's it usually takes me a couple of goes to really get it, like to get the tone right. Have you seen this fan art thing that people are doing? The six characters. Oh yeah, you commented on my thing, didn't you? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. I've been doing that. That's fun. And I was gonna do Goku, but I thought I'd do Goku for this, so I'll do something else. I'll do someone else. I might just pick someone I want to do. But yeah, it's been fun. It's I've just been doing them in black and white at the moment. But it's nice because I would never draw stuff like that. I mean, sometimes, but I don't really do fan art a hell of a lot except for the Star Wars stuff, of course.
Yeah,
It's
fair
just
enough. Yeah, you do definitely have a knack for like character creation. And that's definitely something that I lack in. Like I'm more so um like pop culture and like characters that are already established
yeah. No, thank you.
and
Yeah, I
just
appreciate that. I don't know. It's just something that I do like the challenge of like the fan art thing's great because it just makes you design stuff you wouldn't normally. My friends or a couple of my friends have asked me to do portraits for them before, so I'll draw them. They'll say, "Oh, can you draw me as a character?" Man,
right.
that's I hate it. I
It's
love
definitely
doing
tough.
it, but sorry.
It's tough because like you want to add an amount of like caricature to it so it's not like super realistic,
Hmm.
but at the same time it's hard to not lose the person's like essence.
Yeah, yeah. There's also you don't want to offend people, because
Yeah,
my
that's fair.
characters my characters have big heads, big ears quite
Yeah, big
often,
old head,
big eyes.
very expressive.
Like, people are just sure I'll draw you, but be warned.
Don't get offended.
That's it. Yeah, please don't get offended by what I draw.
Dude,
Um,
by the way, that portrait you did of me was phenomenal.
oh, thanks,
Like
man.
I am
Yeah,
so how that turned out.
I was really pleased with how that turned out. Thing is, one thing I realized though, you've got a good face for cartooning because I don't know. I just felt some of it. I don't know. I can't really explain it, but when I drew you, I was just like, okay, yeah, no, this actually looks a bit like Parker now. This is good. This is all right. I think once I
I
drew
do
your
have I'm a very expressive person.
yeah.
Like I definitely um like I smile big. Like I'm a very goofy person. So
Well, that was. I think that's it. Once I got, yeah, because I think it was when I was like using your photos as reference and stuff, and yeah, you do. You are very expressive, and that made it easier. I think it wasn't like you were just posing, just looking fed up or whatever. It was. It was like there were a lot of good reference points, and also I felt once I drew, like once I had sort of your face shape done. Once I drew your beard and stuff, I was like, oh yeah, this is starting to look like him. Yeah, thanks. I was pleased with that. I was glad it turned out well, but also I think I didn't draw you. I tried not to do it as a like a caricature or whatever. I just tried to do it as one of my how I draw one of my characters.
sure, yeah.
So it turns out you've got a good face for one of my characters. So
Oh, good.
congratulations.
I have a giant cartoon face.
I'm assuming your head isn't that big in real life, but hey.
Well, you never know.
I mean, in your photos, you looked more normal, so it's fine. But yeah, I'm glad you liked it. I wasn't sure because when you because I mean, obviously you came up with the idea about the cats and stuff, and I started drawing it, and I
Mhm.
thought, well, I'm going to draw them as like sidekicks. I think I'll do that.
Yeah, definitely stuck with the superhero vibe sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Neil Mitten on Facebook, he commented and said, "Oh, are they is that Trash Pandas? Because I know Parker loves Trash Pandas. He loves raccoons." And I was like, "Oh man, I should have thought about that." But that's why I did that raccoon man afterwards because he came up with that
Oh
idea.
man,
So.
that raccoon guy is awesome. I love him.
He was fun to draw. I was trying to get away from. Obviously, it was going to go Super Mario direction. I thought I need to need to get away from that a little bit.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But yeah, it's been good. But if you come up with any ideas for heroes, I do want to carry that on. It's been fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's definitely something good to keep you occupied during quarantine.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been fun. Just coming up with stupid, like ridiculous ideas for heroes has been fun. I think I'm just about done. Nearly. One thing I tend to do a lot when I'm drawing is zoom in to get every pixel, which I'm trying to get away from because that's.
That's one of the reasons that I um, went to the paint bucket
Yeah, man.
aspect
Yeah,
versus like coloring it all by hand.
yeah, I completely get that. It is frustrating. I was watching a video about that, about um, just finishing stuff is more important than making it perfect. Otherwise, you'll just never get anything done. You'll never finish any project if you spend all your time just focused on every little detail.
Right.
Still recording. That's good.
Haven't crashed your computer yet.
No, it seems to be alright. It's very warm, but it's okay. It seems alright. Okay, that's me done. I think.
Yeah, I'm almost there.
That's cool. That's cool. Right, carry on. Okay, it's all ready for you. Do a background. Do a simple background.
Ooh, I like that.
Love a gradient. Super simple.
Yeah, because I mean, you've seen my stuff. I always put a white border around my guys just
Sure.
to make
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
pop a
Yeah.
little bit.
Let me get that. Yeah. It's yeah. I like when you do that. It works as well, doesn't it? It makes it look so much nicer. I think.
All right, I'd say he's ready.
Awesome. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I think.
Well, if anybody actually watched this, you're a gentleman and a scholar.
Agreed. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah,
anyone who sat
yeah.
through
We'll
it.
hopefully probably do some of this more often. Maybe cut it down a little bit, make it a little shorter, so people
Yeah.
don't have to
Well,
sit through 3 hours of
this.
mumbling.
I mean, this was an experiment for sure. But yeah, if anyone has any ideas or wants to, see it or get involved in anyway, really, definitely do some more for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But hey,
Yeah, well, this was fun, man. Just let me
yeah,
know when you get it posted up, and I'll
yeah,
make
I'll
sure to
sort it out
share
for
it.
you. Yeah, hey, well, thanks for joining in. It's been good to talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, well, take it easy. I'll catch you on the flip.
Yeah.